All right, let's give it a try here. I think everything is sort of unbroken. We'll see who we see when we see them. But first, the Jingle Singers are ready to go here on your Old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
RADIO, the Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark for your Class D 11-meter pleasure. Good afternoon, good evening to the Old Tube Radio Network, wherever you may be. We are here in Central California at 27085, that's Channel 11. Your place to be on a Saturday evening for those classic tube radios. My name is Dennis, reminding you that the purpose of OTR is to promote the use and distribute information about old tube radios on the 11-meter citizen band radio service. A reminder that we're not a club, but just a voluntary association of people interested in old tube radios. And we welcome anyone to participate. So hopefully we will be chatting with you and your radio tonight. But as we always do, first off, we start with the SWL roll call. Our shortwave listeners listening in from locally, from not so locally, with your tube radios at the ready. Whether we can hear them or not, if they're far away, we know they're probably on your radio bench somewhere. And that is a good thing. So let's... If I can get my 00 check-in up there. There it is. We will get, see if 00 is out there. Over. And there he is, 44, getting items of interest started off. I'm grabbing a pen here, and it appears to work. Those playing the home game are grabbing the roster sheet for the 16th of May, 2020. And that is what it will be all night tonight. I will look at the pages and say hello to everybody here in just a little bit. Getting the check-in for SWL number one of the stations that got this whole thing started off so many years ago. Was it 35? I don't remember, but a long time ago. Another guy that got things started off who's out there waving a hand on our video feed tonight, Mr. OBP. SWL number 2. A lot of people on the video feed so far. There is Mitch coming up to you, Brown Dog Audio coming up to you, and Neil from Kakalaki is on the video side tonight. It is working. I see out there, no problem. SWL number 3. Getting Rob checked in from a Facebook post. SWL 4. SWL 5, SWL 6, SWL 7, and then we skip up to SWL 13. I'll put a proxy in for Mr. Cobra. He might be out there later. We'll switch it to an X in the square. Thanks for the 5500. That's always good to know that there isn't any smoke coming out of the components yet. SWL 14. SWL 15. Shortwave listener 16. SWL 17, SWL 18, SWL 19. And how is the seersucker suit doing tonight? Pretty good. I've got the tie ready to go. We've got the official OTR Net Control SWL 33 shirt in the ready. And, of course, we are ready to check in some old tube radios. Good conditions on 20 meters. Earlier, I was hearing Alaska talking to Florida. Came back to 11 meters and was hearing something, so I tuned up to 10 meters, and there were beacons coming in from San Diego. So even though the sunspots are at 0, We're getting some ducting and ionospheric items of interest, so could be interesting tonight. Stay tuned. SWL 20. I had a note to Proxy in 20, which I will do. Said he might not be there. He might be listening in. Might be one of our stations. Who is listening in? Up in the top row. Hello, Spokane, Hendersonville, Tennessee. Up there. I think they're delivering food up there tonight, so that's a good place to be. Hello to our station in Riverside, Dallas, Georgia. Come up to you. Hello, Fresno, Derby, New York, or somewhere near. It's been listening in to all the testing. In Indiana, Lebanon, Kerman, California, Madera, California, Auberry, California, North Fork, California, all the local stations here checking their audio out. The unknown SWLs, probably wearing the paper bag over their radios. Hello to Coarse Gold, Woodland Park, Colorado. Keep the ears open. Could have some conditions tonight. Reedley listening in, coming up to you. Hello to Texas. And another California station. Charlie in Anoka has been listening into my testing and all sorts of stuff. And our station in Southern California. So away we go. Over to SWL 21, Mr. JT. He was on Old Radio Night tonight. What was the radio? The radio was, let me see if I can find it here. It was the Tram Titan 2 with the very cool S meter. Do I have any audio from that? Let's see if we've got.
I'm looking.
There he is.
See.
He's checking something out.
ATG. Who's ATG?
Checking something out on the Tram Titan 2, which is the double sideband radio. I don't know if we get any trams tonight.
Who is? Oh, okay, I got you. ATG, I got you. Okay.
But there he is, Mr.
How about it,
Mr. JT.
Not Ranger.
Sounding good on the old radio night tonight. We've got you checked in. Out there in the Wasama swamps, the ground rod working good. Over to SWL 22, S Mark in East Texas. SWL 23. The 23 Skidoo is up and running tonight. Mitch is enjoying whatever kind of good weather is happening. Yeah, Mitch was probably 2 hours before the net, and I was hearing something went up to the 10-meter beacons, and San Diego was coming in, 6 was coming in, so a little ducting thing going on. Should be interesting here. Gray line is happening here. Last week, when it happened in Hawaii, we started hearing the Hawaiian station, so you never know. Let me get 23 up and running. Shark Park. Are they getting shark sightings? More great whites at the beach than people these days. Well, I guess the sharks don't care. Try and give a shark a ticket. See what happens. Let's go to SWL 24. And Joseph checked in early on my video screen. So if you're listening, Mr. Black Sheep, we've got you checked in. Over to SWL 25. And that takes us over. I do have the crossband on. I hope I've got the volume turned up. SWL 27.
Hey, Dennis, let me try it again. 25 shaking in.
Hey, I hear you now. Over. Try it again.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure what happened. I pressed the old Broderick Crawford type microphone, and there was no modulation. So tried it again. Now it works. Anyway, sorry for the delay. Back to you.
All right, you are sounding good. I worked late last night. I missed the sideband net. Whatever radio you're on, whatever number is that radio, it's sounding good. You've got it cranked the proper way.
All right, Dennis, thanks. And by the way, last night we missed you, but Spokane checked in, Oregon checked in. Man, there was all kinds of stations all over the place, so it's really cool. So anyway, we'll see what happens tonight. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That conditions were in, so we might have something similar tonight. That sounds like fun. I'll have to go back, and I think he keeps the replay up and listen to the replay, see who was in there. Maybe some of the stations that were there last night will be listening in, trying it on the AM side tonight. Hello to, who else is in there? Popcorn 913. After the net, I've got some popcorn ready to go. Hello to you. I see you on the screen. Also, who else is out there? From Squamish, BC, waving a hand. Lots of DX coming in the last couple of days, saying they love to hear the big stations. Well, I'm not one of them, but maybe we will make it to British Columbia tonight. You'll never know. The radios will be coming up after the roll call here shortly. I've got a proxy check in. I'm going to get Dwayne checked in because I heard him on 2 meters. He's still got the cleanup project in the Radio Shack going. Also, we will get a proxy check-in for Loner 29 over to SWL 30. SWL 31 from the balcony. Robert and Teresa up there in Hendersonville. Hope all is going well in your neck of the woods tonight. Over to SWL 32. SWL 33, myself, Bozo Control, the Jingle Singers, and X4000 looks like is waving a hand, so we get X4000 checked in as well as myself and the gang here. Canby, Oregon, walking into the up in the balcony. We're coming up to you, sir, so don't go away. SWL 34. SWL 35, that's Red Monkey, Mr. Bill. Let me see if he's rolled in on the big page yet. Doesn't look like it. Should be in soon. I will refresh my items of interest. Weather should be pretty good. SWL 36. I saw San Francisco come in on my screen. That is X4000. He's sort of stealthy. I think he beacons up on the Starlink, which flies over this area, but apparently the new Starlink does not show up well here on this part of the West Coast. So my efforts to climb up on the roof and see any Starlink activity have been less than stellar, pun intended. SWL 37. SWL 38. Shortwave listener 39.
What number was that?
SWL 37.
SWL 37 here, stepping in space with a banana split.
Oh man, a banana split. That's even more tempting than the popcorn. I haven't had one of those in a while. I haven't had ice cream in a while, so I think that's on the list here in the middle of May. All right, continue with the banana split, and we will talk to you a little bit later on in the program here.
It sounds good, but this is the first banana split I've had in a long time, so I'm definitely enjoying it. The chocolate, strawberry, pineapple on it, bananas, whipped cream, chocolate. Anyway, I'm out.
All right, thanks for checking in. What was the animated? I think weren't animated. The banana splits. Who was the guy that did those? The banana splits. All right, let's try SWL 39. I guess I should look over and check my meters, make sure everything looks like it's kind of running okay. I don't see anything burning up. SWL 40.
SWL. Whoa. A little hot on the curve there. SWL 40 checking in at 79 degrees in Chinatown.
All right, you're sounding good. Hopefully the sirens will be silent in Chinatown tonight. We can focus on listening to the DX. I've got you checked in. And Mitch, you know, that is a show I never watched. I can't remember when I was working at a TV station at the time, and it was probably a show that was on the other affiliate, Fleagle? What? Fleagle, Drooper, Bingo, and Snorky? Is that what they were called? I don't know. What did we carry? I think we carried Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo and some other stuff. I don't think we carried the banana splits. Where are we going? 41. That's Mr. Road Dog 507. Let me click in on the thing and put him on the board. And he's right there, checking in from Hudson Valley, New York. Staying up late as always. I bet the 75-meter AM guys are up at 3880, 3885, blowing smoke out of the East Coast with their wink full legal limit stations. Let's try SWL 42. SWL 43. SWL 44. All right, Ray's got the 2-for-1 coupon here for the next couple of weeks, sounding good at 00 and 44 as well. Here into my very low antenna in Midtown Fresno. Also, hello to Keith in Rocky Mountain, Virginia. Okay, and the Bob and Steve show. Let me do a few more check-ins here. We'll find out what's happening with our jingle singers and all the good stuff there. SWL 45.
Sounds good tonight, Dennis. 45.
Oh, yeah, likewise. I'm interested in what you've got. Boy, you've got lots of forward movement on the meter. So stay tuned. There's one of our teasers for a check-in tonight. Paul has got a ton of radios over there. And he always takes time out of his Saturday evenings to share them with us. So we would be looking forward to see what you got. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Dennis.
SWL 46.
Hello, Dennis.
And the station said, hello, Dennis. Hello from the Old Tube Radio Network in Central California. SWL 47.
Good evening, OTR, and greetings from the Radio Lounge, where we got the rain lamp going and the Magic Eyes rocking.
And the radio sounding quite nice as well. All right, continue on, and as per usual, here in about 20 minutes, we'll be checking in the glow-in-the-dark radio, so put a post-it note saying, don't forget. And this is the Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's Glowing in the Dark. We are at channel 11, 27085, also live streaming at oldtuberadio.net. There's also some type of a live YouTube thing going on and other items of interest. But the big show is going to be right here on channel 11 when our tube radio operators fire up their classic radio sets from 1958 to 1978 that are certainly glowing in the dark. Looking for SWL 48.
SWL 48 checking in, Dennis.
Wow, good signal. Sounding good tonight. 48 is Mr. KP. Somewhere near Madera Town. Thank you, Sam. And let's see if 49er is on band tonight. SWL 49.
Hey there, Dennis. 49er here is drinking my wine, checking in, and wishing all you fellas a super fine Old Tube Radio Saturday night. Thank you very much for the net, Dennis.
All right, thanks for checking in. Sounding high quality as always. We'll get the household checked in there from southeast Fresno tonight. Thanks.
Thank you.
SWL 50.
50 here, live and direct.
Live and direct and living up to the motto, let no good old tube radio go unkeyed. Thanks for checking in. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
51 checking in. 305 near Sangertown. Thanks, Dave. Let's see, sir. Did I miss somebody? OTR's listening. How about from behind the golden microphone, SWL 52? Scroll on the video side. Sometimes Aaron will pick up on the video. And over to Bel Air Bob, SWL 53.
Yeah, how about 53 checking in?
53 is sounding good on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight, over.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for checking in. Page 3 at the ready. Let's see what's happening through the rack here with the Jingle Singers. The Bob and Steve Show out of Ohio. In the green room, took out all the old pens and pencils, the bad ones. Yeah, you know what? Here, look at this. Here they are. Here they are right here on the table. There's more, and there's this one, and the Sharpie that's probably, and this one. So what they do is they come into the control room. Here's another one. They come into the control room and then dump them all in here. That's why when I start out, you normally see me messing around trying to find a pen. All right, but anyway, they got rid of the old pens and pencils, and that's good. That's something I should do here. They did lots of cleaning. I hope they didn't unplug too many things. We will find out. Normally, that's my MO, unplugging the wrong stuff. Knobs and dials all set at 0. That's good. Usually we start at 11. By the time we end up at the evening, things are back down to 0. The Jingle Singers cleaned out the fridge. All the old wine is gone. See, it's a wine kind of thing tonight. Brian was sipping on some wine. I don't know who else is doing wine. I don't even know if I have any wine. All I have is vintage Costco water, which is probably as good as some of that $2 wine you can get. Let's see. Bob and Steve, they now have a new spread. Very nice. They took the card again, flying the private jet back in the morning. That's about the best way to get around. You don't have to take your shoes off and stand in line. All right. Well, thanks, gang. Thanks for getting everything set up next door. Hopefully our radio operators will enjoy that as they're waiting to check in. Page 3 is always getting a check-in for Mr. Boardjammer, who is responsible for a lot of our stations sounding as good as they do when they check in. Let's go up to near Shaver Lake for SWL 55. And Mitch, I'm assuming I have left all sorts of sanitization products for projects for the Jingle Singers and next door. So I think everything is going to be COVID-19 safe. We've got the notes on the door and sheltering in place. There are, masks for everybody. So there is no problem here at the Old Tube Radio Network. Did I call 55? I think I did. How about SWL 56?
Good evening, Dennis and the net. SWL 56, just for kicks.
Well, you can say that again. And he probably will. If you tune in next week at this same time, or if you're watching the video, just go back a couple of seconds and he'll say it again and again for as much as you want. Thanks, Phil. And then I've got the floating foot switch again. The Heil foot switch. There's some Heil radio thing going on. Heil weekend or 10% off. I don't know. I keep seeing it on my Facebook page, and I have yet to go see what Bob has to offer. Mr. Heil, if you're watching, here's your PR40. That ought to be good. That ought to be good for another 10% off. 57, Brown Dog Audio, right where he needs to be. Thanks. Checking in from a Fireside QRP station somewhere in Kentucky. Say that I'm sounding good tonight. Well, thanks for that. I'm also probably QRP in Midtown Fresno tonight. Watch the new ICOM rig that they're touting. I guess it's a QRP, a 705. Looks kind of interesting. And one of those 10-watt. You can put more power to it, but your little portable runs on batteries, 10 watt to throw up the wire in the tree radio for your QRP pleasure. WWS 1942 Central Kentucky. Thank you. Let's try SWL 58.
58 checking in. Hope everybody's having a COVID-free evening, and thanks for doing the net, then.
All right, and I lament that I worked late at the FM station and missed what appeared to be some great activity on 36 lower. So how did that worked okay?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun last night. I figured that pesky thing called work probably kept it from turning the radio on. But we ended up having about 20 check-ins on the roster, the local roster here check-in, and picked up 11 more DX check-ins, and conditions were great and had a lot of fun. So hopefully there'll be more of that to come here in the future.
Sounds good. What Jeremy is talking about is the Friday night sideband net here in Central California. You can join in local or not so local, 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on 27.365 lower sideband. That's 36 lower. The Ditch Banks sideband net. There is also a live video that happens so that you can look at your streaming signal and audio. Cool stuff. Conditions have been good, so give that a listen on Friday evenings here on channel 36 lower. Continuing on with the roll call over to SWL 59. Yeah, Ray, you and me both. We're in the pledge break at the station, so we were mailing things and trying to drum up some money. Let's try SWL 60.
Thank you, Dennis. Evening time to you, and hope you're staying safe with this corona, boy. It's a beautiful thing. I'd like to check in old Big Jake's base. I think he would appreciate it this afternoon, this evening. SWL 60 checking in the DX 2527.
Indeed, 291 would indeed like that beaconing across the Central Valley and everywhere else, universally at oldtuberadio.net. Sounding good, and we've got it checked in with a great signal.
Thank you, Dennis.
And DD21, I need a pocket protector. You know, I'm going to say I'm looking around for something nerdy, but when I look around, all I see is nerdy stuff. And I can't believe that out of all the wacko nerdy things here, there is not a pocket protector. I probably have little tiny tweaky, the tweaker screwdriver things here somewhere, and connectors of different sorts. Here's another broken pen. This is about as nerdy as I can get. I can put my little, there we go. I can put my greeny screwdriver. I want to poke a hole in this thing. This suit is probably 60 years old. Let's do that without messing up the seersucker stuff here. All right, there we go. Can you see that? Is that acceptable for the nerd factor? Good deal. Where are we going? SWL 61. SWL 62.
Evening time, Dennis. Is this 62 checking in from downtown Clovis? On frequency and on time.
I will say yes and yes. The frequency 27085, and here at 8:35 Pacific Daylight Time with Tube Radios coming up shortly. Sounding good. Thank you, Rex. Getting SWL 63 checked in from New York. SWL 64. SWL 65.
Right.
All right, I hear a break. Don't go away, break. We'll get you in a second. And was that Eric there? Over?
Yeah, 65 checking in.
All right, thanks, Eric. We got you checked in. And then let me back up just a little bit. What's the bluegrass song called? Back Up and Push, I think. Hello, 61.
Hey, how you doing? My receiver went out on the other radio when Jeremy keyed up. I heard him for a few seconds, and then I went blank.
All right. Well, he's probably got one of those big signals that that captures your AGC for about 10 seconds, and when the S meter gets back down into the mud area, you can hear this station. You are sounding good, Dean. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay, we've got 61 is in, 62, 63, SWL 66. Yeah, you know, X4000, I will have to check at the station and see if there aren't some, way in a box somewhere, some of RL's pocket protectors secreted away somewhere, and I'm sure I can wear them proudly. SWL 67. SWL 67, Bill, let me see if Canby was online earlier from Oregon. So I am going to get Bill checked in. SWL 68. SWL 69. That's Kenny listening in from Tulsa. If you're watching or listening, Kenny, whether it's live or direct or in the future, I should say, we've got 69 checked in. We miss you here in the Central Valley, but hope you're having a good time where you're at. Over to SWL 70.
Right here, Dennis. 70 checking in. Hello, Bill up in Cheyenne. Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah, he is, we've had some conditions. We might get to Cheyenne, Wyoming. He hasn't popped in on the big board yet, but probably will. Let's see, I'm looking at the other pages here. I don't know if that's for me. There was a query, but I think that's for somebody else. 70 is in. Let's try SWL 71. And to do that, I usually need to look on the big page, and indeed there is Mr. Announcer with the RCA 44 microphone. Hi, Stan. Stan is another one of those on-frequency and on-time stations here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Then we go over to SWL 72. Now, I've written in Eric. I didn't write a handle or a QTH. So we'll hang on for Eric. SWL 73. And Joseph in Atlantic City. Waving a hand. Wondering if Crazy Bob, Mr. Crazy Bob DJ is listening. Sometimes he does. When he's not out there doing the DJ thing, which he probably isn't these days, or spinning records or whatever. Crazy Bob, no stranger to the classic tube radios, and also runs one of the really cool Facebook sites concerning tube radios. Let's try SWL 74. And I will get Miss Jilly checked in. SWL 75. SWL 77. SWL 78.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
Dennis, can I get a late check-in, please, for 55?
Yes, I am right on that page. I haven't turned it yet. And there's a suspicious blank on the 5/16/2020, which has just been filled, and I would confirm that by clicking on the little link here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay, let's see, 77, no go, 78 to Richard in Everett, Washington. I'm looking for you, Richard. I don't see you. How about SWL 79? And SWL 80. And Joseph is, where's he, on the 16th floor. That's altitude is everything. He's got the 891, cool radio, the Yaesu 891 with the dipole probably hanging out, right? Or stretched out across the 16th floor looking for some conditions. The conditions are probably going to be short hop. So we're here on the West Coast. We're probably going to be hearing Oregon, Washington, parts of California, maybe Colorado, Nevada. Who knows? We'll find out. I'll have to listen into the replay of Friday, sideband that to see who they were talking to. Let's go to page 4 for SWL 81. SWL 82.
82 checking in. Good evening.
Well, don't go away. I love that, the ping when you keyed up. It almost sounded like the NBC tone. Try that again.
It was a little bit different. Oh, I just reached up, took it off the shelf, and keyed it up. So the Eagle is singing tonight.
It is. Yeah, that was a 2-tone. The other one was the very rare 3-tone. I'll watch the playback on that. Maybe we can get somebody with perfect pitch, and they'll know exactly what tones we had. Thanks, Ron.
All righty, Dennis. Have a good night.
Direct Net Roll Call, the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radios will be glowing in the dark. Stay tuned for that. SWL 84. From Reedley, SWL 85.
Proxy 85.
Proxying in 85. And let's see, speaking of proxy, we're going to do the gang here. 84, also Mountain Maid 86, Tandy Girl 87, and the Snowy Owl 88. Looking for SWL 89. SWL 90. SWL 92. Shortwave listener 93 checked in early check-in, as he called it. He said he wanted an early check-in, and so we gave him the early check-in. Rob is waving a hand. I want to say hello to Rob out there in Zero Land. 10 and 6 meters, pretty good the past few days. Yeah, I guess if we're getting the skip hops on 11 and 10, the next thing is to listen in on 6, and it sounds like it's happening. 38 lower sideband was open to SoCal, but now it seems the bands are fading. Always listening for openings back to Central California. And Rob is waving to 82 that just checked in out in Biola. So Rob is waving to Rob. All right, so where are we going here? Let's try SWL 98.
Checking in, Dennis.
All right, he is checking in, and I will get you officially on the big board. Fresno Dave, thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Then we go to SWL 103. Got a proxy in for Cheesy E, Jeff 103 from Facebook. And from the big city of Canton, Texas. Tonight, William checking in, saying hello to OTR and all the tube radio operators and SWLs. Thanks for stopping by the net tonight. Let's head up to the Albury station, SWL 109. Shortwave listener 110. From Reedley Town, SWL 111.
Well, weather checking in. Sure is good to hear you, Dennis. Man, what a change. 111. Reedley.
Yeah, likewise. Check out the video. You are pushing the S meter past the noise and then some with some great modulation. And also doing the proxy check-ins for the other Reedley stations. Sounding good. 111 111, Robert, on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight from Reedley Town. That's a pretty decent ground wave hop. when I've got a antenna this low. Let's try SWL 113. SWL 114.
114, checking in.
And Rickshaw's checked in. Thank you, Wayne. Who's the breaking station? This is OTR.
This is 72 Eric, just checking in. Sorry, I just got home.
All right, I've got you. We're over on page 3, just walking in the door and remembering the Saturday night place to be here on the Old Tube Radio Network 27085. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you very much, and have a good evening, everybody.
And a big signal into Midtown tonight. Let's go over to SWL 128. Mr. John Lee. I don't see, did he check in earlier? No. So he might be, I don't know what kind of contesting is going on tonight. I will keep an eye out for 128. SWL 131. Shortwave listener 133. SWL 135.
SWL 135 checking in.
And 135 from the radio bunker. You are sounding good, Mr. Green Arrow. Thank you. SWL 137. See if Course Gold, Tony, 145.
Good evening, Dennis, and all the other patient isolated SWLs. Tony and Course Gold.
All right, 145, Tony and Course Gold, sounding good on the amplitude modulated mode. Thanks, Tony.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Be safe, everybody.
And then from Kakalaki, I'm not sure why you're not able to get in on the other pages there, Neil, but you sound and look good over at the video side. So 147. Kakalaki is in, and I think I've confirmed your check-in there. Thanks for that. Let's try Course Gold one more time for SWL 195.
195, checking in. Good evening to you.
All right, all the Course Gold stations sounding good tonight. Everybody's sounding good. We've got some good conditions. Maybe the air is nice and clear. It hasn't rained. They're talking that it might rain on Monday. It has been very spring and summer-like here. Very nice. It's a type of weather that if it stayed like this all the time, property values would go up. People would actually want to live in this desert. Let's try SWL 226. And any other stations wanting to check in that I may have missed over? All right, not sure if we will get some skip tonight. Hello, Dave. Saying howdy, folks. David H. on the video side. All right, let me do all the things I need to do to get ready for the Tube Radios, and then we will talk to the Tube Radios here on your Old Tube Radio Network. Back in a moment. And you are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
You know, people are applauding, so it must be good. And what is good are the tube radios brought to the frequency by our tube radio operators. The classic glow-in-the-dark radios from 1958 to about 1978 when they stopped making them. You should hear some tonight from our radio operators. I have signed into the Old Tube Radio check-in list. Sometimes I forget to do that. And then when I go to do the year-end roundup and I have a check-in list, I have no idea what the day is. So this is from, this will be for May 16th, 2020. Hello to all of you. If you are just joining us, this is 27085 Channel 11 in the Central Valley, where for the last 35 years on Saturday evenings, we have been calling out for those tube radio operators and collectors to stop by and have a place to key down and fire up and share their tube radios, talk about tube stuff and check out microphones and wiggle the tubes safely and do all that kind of stuff. Of course, the SWLs like myself like to listen in and enjoy the sound of the tube radios. Also want to say hello to the stations that might be listening from antique CB radio pre-1977, from the CB Radio Lounge, the CB Radio Connection, High Fidelity CB Radio, Vintage CB Radio, the 11-meter CB Radio Junkies, the fans of the Demco and CB radio-related equipment. Will we get a Demco tonight? So stay tuned and find out. Vintage Tube CB Radio, the Worldwide Sidebanders, and the gang at CB Radio News, Rich Anderson, the gang out there, and a host of others. With that said, I will say this is the Old Tube Radio Network, and we are listening.
135, 135.
25.
All right, I've got two in the queue. Mr. Green Arrow, step up into the air chair. We will get you on the next key up. And Jerry, jump into the green room where it is safe. There is all sorts of goodies as usual, thanks to Bob and Steve, and we will call you for Radio 2, and there's plenty of room on the list for others. So if you're warming up a tube radio, stay right there. Hello, Cliff.
Hello, Dennis.
I'm entering you into the radio list, and I'm ready to copy. I'm ready to find out what you have the microphonium connected to. Over.
Oh, I thought maybe you just wanted to chat or something. No, okay, yes, this is SWL 135 on the Lafayette Comstat 25B. Coming all the way from the land of the rising sun. This is a Japanese-made radio. But it's got 11 tubes and all 23 channels. The microphone I'm using is the more or less, I think, matching desktop mic. It's the Lafayette Range Boost microphone. And I think I've got a picture of it with the radio, if you find that. For those who don't have the picture, it looks for all the world like a Turner Plus 3, except painted black. Back to you.
And I've got it. I was trying to guess the radio you were on when you keyed up. It's got lots of audio. I thought, is he on a buddy bass? Is he on the general radio telephone? I'm hearing maybe what sounds like a fan in the background, but it's not bad at all. And indeed we have, it says Lafayette, L-A-F, I think that's spelled wrong. Whoever put that in spelled it wrong. Comstat 25B, photo from the collection of Cliff, SWL 135. The cool-looking 25B, which looks nothing like the 25A, and indeed there's the microphonium as you gave us the Word's Eye view with the gold or brass, whatever that is. It looks pretty fancy, and it's working great.
Oh, that's good to hear. I haven't checked it in quite a while, and I did put a fresh battery in it, so I wasn't sure if it was going to be putting out too much or not. Is it okay? And the fan, I think you hear in the background, there's no fan. I'm out here in the CB Cabana, and there's a train going by just a minute ago, so that could have been it. But yeah, the mod light seems to be flashing reasonably. It doesn't look like... Okay, it is going a little bit with my breath. So what do you think?
I think if I could get my foot switched the right way, I would be able to keep the radio. I think it's good. I see in the picture, I don't know how you do it, but it looks like the mod light is actually working. It's on channel 11 in the photo as it actually is on your operating position. Your audio is perfect. I don't hear anything that I would say is negative at all. It is a nice kind of white noise coming in the background. It's very relaxing and very pleasant. Looking at the radio, fine tune, squelch, and there is a switch of some sort underneath the meter, and another switch that I think is the CBPA. It's got that sort of blacked out black and chrome grill front, so it's hard to see everything. But you have everything adjusted perfectly, I think.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks. That's good to know. I'll remember to just leave everything in this position then. Yes, I completely forgot to mention the switches. Underneath the meter is the range boost switch. I do have that on, so I got a powered mic into the range boost, but it sounds kind of wimpy without it. Underneath the mod light is the PA CB switch. This will do the whole public address thing out the speaker jack in the back, which is a lot of fun if you ever mess around with those things. Just hook up a speaker and switch it to PA, and you can alert the neighbors with that. It's a lot of fun until they come and get you.
Well, it's like in the movies. When Godzilla is coming down Blackstone Avenue, you can get on the PA and say, "Citizens, do not be afraid," and then create panic. Although these days, you really don't have to do that to create panic. Speaking of panic or Panasonic panic, that is the Panasonic chassis that was shipped over for Lafayette. I was looking to see if I could find anything about it being perhaps plate modulated or not, or Heising modulation perhaps. I'm not sure, but it's got plenty of audio. You've got everything adjusted nicely, and it works quite well for our radio number one. From Lafayette to Constat 25B, Cliff is behind or at the microphonium. Give us another transmission, and thanks for bringing it by tonight. Over.
Oh, well, hey, thanks for letting me bring it by. This is an awful lot of fun. It's a very nice night. Very, very pleasant out here. So it's nice to sit out here with the old CB and listen to what's going on. Oh, photographic secrets from the Green Arrow. Don't tell anybody, but the way I do that, there's two ways. On practically, I'm sure you're referring to like practically all the photos that I put up there have a if there's a mod light, I generally have it going, and there's two ways I do that. With this kind of microphone, it's got a lockdown, right? So I just hit the lockdown when I take the picture and kind of go, or something like that, to make the mod light go while I take the picture. The other way, because like the tram, I've got a tram, and the mobile one. Gosh, I can't remember the number of it right now, but it's got a handheld mic. So how do I do that? This one and practically all the ones I have with modulation light, if you turn the volume up and the squelch down, the mod lights will go. Not just with your transmitted modulation, but any sounds, if you crank up your volume too much, it makes the mod lights go. I'm sure other people with radios like that have noticed that. It's a very strange thing, especially when I take these mobile and I got to crank the volume way up. When you're talking, that's you personally, Dennis, the modulation light will go as well.
Somebody else has a radio light, and you mentioned that will do that. They say I can make the modulation light blink if they turn it up loud enough, and I I set all the crazy controls here to make my voice sound even better, even better than it might be. So that's fun stuff. But the main thing is that it blinks that nice red color when you are online. What I'm trying to do tonight is add to the video the Orban loudness meter for each radio. So if somebody comes by and watches the video, not only can they give themselves a signal report, but we'll check out where the Orban loudness meter is comparatively to everybody. Typically, it should be probably somewhere, the number on the little LKFS screen should be somewhere between minus 19 and minus 14, and you are minus 15, somewhere in there, which is basically actually nice and loud, but certainly not distorted nor overmodulated. So you are in good stuff. Thanks for bringing by the radio tonight.
Oh, thank you, and catch you next time.
Okay, and stepping up into the air chair is Jerry, SWL25. I also want to say hello to SWL13. Mr. Cobra, we will get you checked in. And I had you proxied, but I'm going to put you an X in the square. And as Jerry is jumping up into the chair, are there any other stations that want to get on the Tube Radio check-in list at this time? Over.
58.
60.
45.
All right, we have 3. 58, 60, and 45. That's Jeremy, Joe, and Paul. So Jeremy, you will be Radio 3 next. So, and then Joe will be Radio 4, and Paul will be Radio number 5. So have some fun in the green room, and we will get to you shortly. But now, who is next? Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Dennis. 25 checking in. I'll make this short because it looks like it might be a busy night for radio check-ins. 25 checking in on the Sonar FS-23. The receiver, I tell you, see, we had volume, squelch, RF gain, and boy, I tell you what, I can't see here. I don't have a light on. Oh, the tuner. Yeah, we got to have the tuner. And, of course, the gauge, the needle meter, and it's working good. And we're on channel 11, and looks like a mini Yaesu, as Everett used to say, number 8. Anyway, back to you.
All right, back to me, and I want to make sure, because the wrong picture came up, I think. That's the Sonar FS-23, over.
Roger. It's not the 30, not to be confused with the 3023, which the only difference I can think of, in fact, I may warm one of those up here in a minute, is the A&L switch is in the front versus the back, meaning that FS23 A&L is on the back, and then FS3023 is in the front. Otherwise, they're almost identical. So we'll see if we can warm the 3023 up here in a minute. Anyway, thanks, Dennis, for checking it in.
Sounds good. I've got the proper photo up now for the FS3020. I even have an advertisement for that. I'm seeing if I can get a date. 1965, that's what I thought. These are mid-60s. I always thought they were later, just from all the stuff on there, all 23 channels and the S-meter and good stuff. And I think the sonars used it, was it the 6AQ5, the push-pull audio, frequency synthesized. That's the FS part of it, not Frank Sinatra. But frequency synthesized citizen band radio with a super head-to-dyne receiver. Says on 11/28/2018, one sold on eBay for $75. That powers on. Well, yours powers on and does even better than that. It sounds great. I have an ad, but I will save it for another time. Got you checked in at 9:06 here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for bringing it by. Over.
Yeah, okay, Dennis. Thanks for checking it in. And by the way, we're on the big old Brett box. I called it a Broderick Crawford microphone, but it's not. I think Broderick Crawford back in the days of highway patrol, I think he was using the Turner. This is a fatter microphone than that one. So it's the old stock Sonar mic. So all right, Dennis, thanks for checking it in, and I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the radios. Anyway, back to you, Dennis. Thank you.
All right, very good. And for our New York stations, I believe Sonar, let me scroll down, was out of, I still can't read it, Brooklyn. Looks like Brooklyn. 73-something Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. Good old Sonar. Sounding good. We missed the top of the hour. Thanks, Jerry. Stepping up into the air chair, Jeremy. But let's go to the jingle singers so we don't, I suppose legally we're supposed to do some top of the hour ID. So here we go.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
And we hope the station for you is OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. And I think we might have another one. Hello, Jeremy.
SWL58 here. I figured I'd round it out. The first radio checked in was a Comstat 25 Bravo, so I'm going to check in a Lafayette Comstat 25 Alpha. So we'll see how many transmissions we can get out of it before it decides to retire for the evening. But that is the story here, over.
Great, and I'm glad that you brought that by, because I mentioned that there is this a ginormous, humongous difference between the 25A and the 25B. And you would think maybe, a B model would be some updated version, but it is a totally different radio. This looks like a CB radio. This looks like the CB radio that could be under the bench in the workshop. That could be maybe hidden in the corner of the living room with the lamp and the doily, or perhaps bolted in under the metal dash of the 67 Ford Falcon, or car of your choice. I shouldn't play favorites here, because I might I might have said a bad word. But anyway, it's working nicely. So give it another transmission.
Okay, yeah, this is, like I said, the 25 Alpha. It does have the range boost switch and some of the other PA CB switch like the Bravo. I do have it on the actual, it's sitting on top of the mobile bracket, which doubles as a kind of a desk bracket. And using a D104 non-amplified, kind of standard D104 microphone. The modulation light is working and blinking away at me. I'll know when it quits, or at least I should know, because you'll see it kind of, everything just kind of dims away. But this is not the original 25 Alpha. From my understanding, of course, you probably know much more than I do, but the original 25 Alpha, I believe, had an A and a B selector for channel 22. I think it was called 22A and 22B. I may be wrong on that. And also, I believe you could adjust the power on it. There was a switch on the back to limit the output power. But this is the later model, I guess, 25 Alpha, you could say. So, yeah, that's about the story here, over.
Very good. I think I have a shot of a back. I'm going to switch the picture here for those watching, but it just says, okay, there's a little screw there under, next to where it says Lafayette Radio Electronics Corporation, 25A, serial number Japan. Yeah, this was another Panasonic chassis, so I wonder if it was just, if the 25B was just a dolled up A on the outside, but the same on the inside. I don't know for sure. There is sort of a set screw that we're seeing. I wonder if that was the power. Oh, it says right there. Oh, no, it says meter adjustment. So if I had a better rear view, I bet there are some other adjustments as well. So there's also a meter adjustment, at least on the one on the picture that I'm showing on this. Let's go back to the front part of that radio. And I was looking to see if I get a date for that. 115 volt AC, 12 volt DC, Sam's CB20, page 61. Oh, and it looks like oldtuberadio.com has an operator's manual. And you don't need one. Your audio sounds great. All the audio is good tonight. I want to say hello to Toby, who is from Midwest Sound. And boy, when you don't overmodulate and when you use proper mic techniques and you have a great radio and a good microphone, it's amazing how good I guess any radio can sound, but of course our tube radios tonight sounding great. So you are showing off for our audio guys who are listening in tonight. Take another transmission.
Well, thank you, Dennis. I appreciate it, and I'm glad it's holding up for me. Yeah, I was pretty lucky to pick up this one back when M Squared was doing their swap meets there. A gentleman had this, and it was in great shape, and I got it home, and believe it or not, the original manual is actually taped underneath it, and so I got the original manual. I got the original microphone too, but unfortunately it was needing quite a bit of help, so we just used the non-amplified D104. On this particular one, I tried to amplify the microphone, and it just was kind of overdriving, and adjust the modulation pod inside, and looking at it on the scope, and just couldn't get the sine wave. The sine wave stayed flat, not round, so we were having some issues there. So it seems like this microphone. So, anyways, I appreciate you doing the net, Dennis, and I also appreciate you letting me check in this radio. And we'll catch you next week.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. I put on the Orban. I forgot to do the Orban with Jerry, but you are sitting in with right in the good zone, right at minus 16, minus 17, which is right where it should be. Not overdone, smooth audio. Radio number 3, the Lafayette Comstat 25A. With all 23 channels and the secret, I think, yeah, the 22A, I think when you went to a synthesized crystal, that one sort of showed up, and I guess the manufacturers were inclined to have to round it out somehow so it wouldn't function since it wasn't illegally used. It was an RC channel, but if you went in and you know, don't cut the green wire, you could probably get on that secret channel, which is now, what is 22A? It would be channel 24, I think. So sounding good. The Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio is glowing in the dark. We are doing just that, and stepping up to the air chair right now at 9:14 Pacific Daylight Time is Joe, SWL 60. Over.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm going to check in this Johnson Messenger 223. Doggone it, I was listening to you and the fellows out there talking about switches already. I'm going switch crazy over here with my next radio I want to key up. But we'll get to it when I finish for this one here. I'm on a stock, I think it's a ceramic mic, and you know, as you know, the Messenger, it's not very fancy, but a very durable radio.
The 223, we're getting all the classics. These were the last two radios, the Lafayette Comstat 25, and the 25A and the 25B, and the E.F. Johnson 223. This was a radio that most people, even though they might have aspired to, the $400 or $500 Brownings back in the day, or the Trams or something, this is what usually wound up, coming home in the box. Something that was a bit more affordable at about $200 and getting all 23 channels and a nice microphonium and a way to get on the air, and even an S-meter. So this was a good deal. The 223, of course, from E.F. Johnson, they had sort of proven themselves with the Messenger and the Messenger 2, and they decided, why not make a solid base radio, and the 223 was born, taking the Messenger 2 and adding 23 channels, a nice cabinet, and an S-meter. You've also got it dialed up great with the audio. We'll put on the Orban loudness meter on your next transmission. Give us another transmission.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, she's a real, she makes the old needle dance over here on this end. But then, of course, that I might be exaggerating. Maybe it's the old meter. But anyway, I appreciate you letting me check it in.
My pleasure, as indeed this is the Old Tube Radio Network, where the real radios glow in the dark, and if it wasn't for our tube radio operators giving us some real radios now and then, it would make for a pretty slow net here in Central California. Thanks for bringing it by. Up next, I'm looking at my notes, would be that patient guy up in North Fork. Hello, Paul. Over.
Yeah, hello, Dennis. My goodness, I tried a couple times to get in, and I just don't have the big gun to get down the hill. So, but I finally made it, and I'm glad to see it this way busy. That's excellent. Anyway, I want to check in my Drano radio telephone MC7.
Okay, one of the ones we don't get that often. Always seems to get the 5s. and the 8s and the 9s, the MC7. I'm looking to see, I have a radio and I have an ad. You know, let me pop up, I think if I do this, I can pop up the ad. And their ad talks about the new 24-channel two-way radio. I'm not sure they would be touting 22A. They also show the price point of $199, $200. That was sort of, I think, the magic price point in the mid-1960s for getting the top-of-the-line radio. And there's some other things it looks like it has as well. So give us another transmission, and we'll look at the particulars for the MC7. Sounds like they had a lot of new innovations going on with that.
Yeah, they had a few. They had the turret tuner on the thing that reduced the size of the crystals down maybe half or so. And so it's all figured in on a little turner that you changed, so it was really neat. It was a good improvement. Now this thing has only except the hand microphone, because it was the first one with a trap-type modulator, and they didn't like any other microphone but this one. This is, I believe it's, I don't know, it's crystal, I believe. No, it's not crystal. I think you probably help me on this. Yeah, it's not ceramic. You know what it is. Back to you.
Well, with General Radio Telephone, it might actually be carbon microphone. I'm just logging you in here. You are radio number 5 at 9:17. I finally grabbed the picture. It might actually be from your collection. Not sure. This one's showing up on channel 6. I see the range switch. Looks like it had an RF gain or range distance local switch. The ANL, so it had some different features and definitely a different look from the MC5. It was all crystal controlled. And it had the bullhorn instead of the tone call, which I guess they nixed in the MC6. Of course, the classic styling with the rack handles. This one, I'm looking for, I'm going to take another look. It almost looks like it doesn't have the proper meter. The meter is broken. That's what it is. It's missing the bottom part. So when we go to the ad, it should have something across the bottom like that. All right, MC7 features 25-watt construction, 24-channel turret tuner. That's what we're talking about, the turret tuner. There's a picture. It's made of nylon, practically indestructible, provides for instant insertion or removal of crystals. So it's on this little carousel. And I'm assuming they're not soldered in if they're instant in or out. Over.
Yeah, this, by the way, back to the microphone, this is the original VSM carbon microphone that came out in this radio. That's the one they had that's the one they were set up to use only on the thing. I haven't tried to wire the mics into the thing and see if it works. I never felt that I needed to. It's got plenty of modulation of it to do it, so I'll leave it like it is. Anyway, that's about the size of the thing, and thanks for checking it in, Dennis.
All right, don't go away, because I'm going to have you do one more transmission. We'll do the Orban loudness meter, because that definitely is loud. It's also got a lot of forward modulation, so looks like it's not over-tweaked on the resting carrier output, 3501 West Burbank Boulevard. Even got a phone number for them, 849-6891. And probably, yeah, in the area code 213. Back when it was 213. It might still be 213, but they've got about 10 area codes in there now. Go ahead and give us one more transmission before you go, Paul, and we'll put on the Orban meter to see where you're making the meter dance here.
Yeah, I'm sorry you didn't get all that. I think I've got that buzz in here again. It's high-pitched whine, and it drives me nuts. But come back on that, please.
All right, you did good. I wanted to see where your audio was on the loudness meter. And it's peaking up to just under minus 14, meaning it's nice and loud and not a problem. So we are looking good here on the Old Tube Radio Network with the new 24-channel General Radio Telephone. Thanks for bringing it by.
Yeah, thank you. Interesting. I just saw it working out there. All right. Yeah, it's working good. Swinging well. People pay for these things. Let's say you have these extra things put on here. General has to come out with this thing, so we'll gain something. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. 00 saying that the Comstat sounded really nice up where he's at. jingle singers, I think, are ready yet again to tell us that great Saturday night place to be here on the Old Tube Radio Network, and we will be looking for radio number 6 in just moments.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
Looking for radio number 6.
60.
Okay, I've got some audio there. Hello, Joe, 9:23. Logging in the time. Step up into the air chair and tell us what the microphonium is connected to.
Well, she's connected to a Robin T 123B, and doggone it, I guess this is the original mic.
Well, if it is, it's still working good. The T123B with range boost or not. Instead of the magic eye, you've got a modulation light meter or something going on there. So look at it and see if it's winking to your pleasure. But I think, from what I'm hearing, it is doing just fine over.
Oh, she's not a real blinker. She's on. She doesn't blink. Let me see. Oh, yeah, she is. I was looking at the wrong one. Sorry about that. Yeah, she's blinking red. Works great. Doggone it. And we got a couple of interesting... I got a couple of switches, Dennis. Maybe you can help me with them. Right above the TX light, there's a little micro switch there, like you would find on the bottom of a Turner Plus 2, for to change it over to electronic or whatever. And then right next to the external speaker, there's another little micro switch. And they're so small that I didn't know whether to mess with them or not. But I've got one up and one down. That's the way I got the radio. And I guess until I do some further research, there may be more added to this radio.
That is what I'm thinking. I zoomed into the picture we have of what I would call a stock out of the box Robin T123B, and there is not an extra switch by the S meter. There is not an extra switch by the external speaker knob or switch. So perhaps, and I'm not sure if those were synthesized or not. So I'm not sure if you might have some extra channels. But the thing to do before you do anything is make a mental note or a post-it note of which position both those switches are in, since you've got two of them. Like they're both down, they're both up. One is up, one is down. The one on the right is up, the one on the left is down. So that if you do decide to go into that scary spot of switch flipping, you will be able to get back to Never Never Land, or get out of Never Never Land when you find out it may not be to your liking. But yeah, it's possible it could take you somewhere, but you don't know where. So I don't know. And Harvey who works on radio might have seen something like that. I'll see if any of our listeners have comments about if they had the same type of radio that may have been modified with switches. But right now, if it says channel 11 on your dial, you are on channel 11, and that's a good thing.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Otherwise, everything works on it. It's a pretty little radio. Guy can't go wrong. And I don't think it's ever been painted on the top because it matches the front so nice. It looks like it rolled right out of the box. Everything works on it. The PA speaker, the PA has a light, the external speaker, extra speaker, they have lights, and they all work, including the RX. And the range boost, of course, well, with this little bitty mic, I guess I can leave it on. I can leave the range boost on.
Yeah, don't you love that? It's like jumping in your 1968 Oldsmobile, and the power windows roll up and down, the clock is actually working, and when you press a button on the radio, it brings up the station, and you are cruising in fine style, which indeed you are. I checked out the Orban loudness meter. You are right where you need to be, around -16, which is a good thing. The audio is good, not distorted. Again, our operators seem to have that knack of adjusting things to make it sound like you are in the same room. I think sometimes also the beautiful AM modulation helps with that. Helps bring out, that's what I like about AM. Sideband is great, but AM with that extra frequency bandwidth really brings out the personality of the operator as well. Radio number 6, Joe is on the Robin T123B. Give us another transmission before you go, and thanks for bringing it by.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, I'll look more into those little micro switches. I'm gonna take a picture of the face. Make sure I put them back like you say, in case I go into outer space or something. Yeah, okay, Dennis, let the next guy go.
All right, and Dave, watching the video, is it Dave? Somebody said, when is somebody going to check in on FT101E? You know, when we first started, it was 1986, 85, 87, 88, 89. And I want to say the rules, but the qualifications were a bit strict. If the radio was a hybrid, which the 101 was, the 102 was, the DAC was, the Mark IV was, the rule was that, you know, you could talk on it, but we wouldn't officially check it in on the list. And now, 30 years later, we're glad to have any check-ins. So if the hybrids come in, the Mark IVs, the 101s, we'll put them down on the list. I actually did net control from a 101. It wasn't even an E, it was a 101. Great transmitter on AM. The receiver, I needed one of those Amico PT2 preamps to help out with the receiver. The receiver wasn't as good. It had great rejection. Boy, if you had somebody close by off-channel, the pre-selector on that 101 just really helps on keeping the bleed over out. But occasionally we'll get a 101 or something checked in. But back in the day, it wasn't an official check-in because only the transmitter part was tubes, and it was a transceiver. It was okay if you had a transmitter that was working, you know, a separate transmitter. Say you wanted to check in your 23S9, but you had to run off a solid-state receiver because your receiver broke. Then we would check in the transmitter because that was a standalone box that was all a tube. So it got kind of interesting. But again, if it glows in the dark, we like it here on the Old Tube Radio Network. We are looking for Radio 7.
25.
45.
All right, and we've got 25 and 45. So, Jerry, you will be Radio 7. Paul, jump up into the green room, relax, and we will catch you for Radio 8. And Dave, the TR4C, did that even have AM? Was that like a control carrier? I thought a lot of those kind of mid-60s radios, they left out AM altogether. I know like the 820 and the 830, they didn't even have AM on them, I don't think. But the Drake might have had a controlled carrier type of thing, which would sound kind of interesting. We'd check them in. Anything, if it glows in the dark and it's vintage, we've been doing this for a long time. We want to get them checked in. All right, 931. The Old Tube Radio Network. My name is Dennis, by the way, if you're just tuning in or listening. We are in Central California, channel 1127085, and we love those classic tube radios. Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Dennis. 25 checking in on the Browning, the Golden Eagle Mark III, SSB, yep, sidebander, you just mentioned transceiver, so it is a two-piece radio. Transmit, receive, has a spot button down to kind of calibrate both together, so you're kind of knowing what the left end, the right hand's doing, what the left hand's doing. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah, talking on a non-powered banana mic, which came with a radio. I believe it was made by for Browning by Electro Voice. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Yes, it was, that style was used on some others. There was a 779, but it was the 77-something series with, I guess, audio filtering sort of set for the Browning. The Browning didn't have a lot of low frequency anyway. They wanted that DX punch, and not only did the microphone give it through the radio, but the radio would like that as well. Radio 7, the Browning Gold Eagle Mark III. I'm going to put you on the... I bet you are... I want to see where you're at on the Orban meter. That thing is super loud. Give us another transmission.
Yeah, okay, Dennis. I know, let's see here. Oh, by the way, I tried to check in on the FS3023 that's not cooperating tonight. It's throwing a carrier, but there's no modulation, so we switched over to this radio to just to check in, because I know that's the old standby. Anyway, thanks, Dennis.
All right, very good. Yeah, you are pushing the Orban meter right up to the edge at the minus 14.5. The Brownings, the Screaming Eagles, doing what they do best. The Browning Golden Eagle Mark III transmitter receiver from 1972, when it replaced the Mark II and all its accessories. And it kept going until 1976, when it sort of got itself replaced because it didn't have a 40-channel transmitter. Original pricing from the $600 to $700 range and more, depending on where you might have picked it up. Sounding good. Thanks for bringing it by.
Thanks, Dennis.
Coming up next on the Old Tube Radio, stepping into the air chair, a station that is very familiar with glowing in the dark. Hello, Mr. Falcon. Hello, Paul. Over.
Yeah, hope this thing's working. Yeah, it's starting to work, by golly. All right, this is my realistic TRC-8D.
All right, let me flip the Rolodex catalog around here to the R's and the realistic. They didn't make too many. Give me the model number again. Over.
TRC-8D.
All right, looking for the TRC-8 Delta, and there it is. And in fact, there it is. I think it's the one from your collection. I will keep the small picture up so that I can get a signal reading, and then we'll expand this, because it almost looks it almost looks a little bit homebrew or something. I don't know. I will reserve my comments until I see the close-up. But give us another transmission on Radio 8.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. When I got this thing, I saw it like this. I thought, what in the world's that? And so I went ahead and purchased it about 15 years ago. And it turned out to be a Metrotech, made in 1963. And Radio Shack put their name on the thing in 1964. So that's a little bit of the information on the thing. Interesting. It was sure fun trying to figure out what it was. Now it's pretty, I got the book on the thing. So same as that Metrotech. That's it.
All right, and I'm not sure if on the picture the light or the flash has washed out any front panel markings, but I see some switches that look unlabeled. I see some dials that looked unlabeled. Of course, the S meter is the S meter. There are various lights. So I hope you know. I hope you know how to drive that thing. I can tell that you do, because you're on frequency and the audio sounds good, but it looks like it might have been a bit of a learning curve to figure out what the knobs were doing. Over.
Well, I got the picture of that. Dennis, I got the picture of the realistic, the exact same one I got right here. I wish that guy had it painted like that. I don't know what in the world his idea was, but whatever. Anyway, the first knob on the left is the crystals. This thing had 8 crystals, transmit crystals. Got a DFO. That's tuning on the next DFO for it. And it does drift quite a bit. And the next one is 12. Then the next one is volume. Then, of course, you go to your meters. And you got your lights down on the bottom that flash. That light up top is not functioning. We put that up there. That's about it. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, take another transmission before you go. We're talking with Radio 8. Paul's at the microphone a very rare realistic TRC-8D, which is a Metrotech chassis, and I'll saunter over to the receiver, and we'll do a frequency check on that. Over.
Yeah, I think you're going to find me a little higher on this one. That's good.
Buddy, that might get anything on it. I don't like talking a microphone on this thing on it, but it's got a sure death microphone on this thing. One big old heavy microphone with it death. See what they are. Back to you.
All right, trying to get back into position here. It's really hard to stretch wearing the seersucker suit here. I haven't had to tweak anything with my screwdriver yet. Believe it or not, you are very close to being right on frequency. I got it about 200 cycles low, about 200 cycles on the low side. So it's very close. Didn't have to go chasing it around much at all. So thanks for Radio 8, the TRC-8D from Realistic and Metrotech. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Dennis.
You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. The Jingle Singers telling you that it's their favorite friendly place.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The Old Tube Radio Network, here at 27085, also streaming live audio at oldtuberadio.net and doing a video thing at YouTube. If you're watching, whenever you're watching, this is something that we do every Saturday evening here in the Central Valley of California, beginning at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Believe it or not, it has been going on for 35 years thanks to our tube radio operators that take time out of their Saturday evenings to share their radios with us. And we are waiting and looking for radio number 9.
25.
And like a good day fishing, you throw out the line and it doesn't take too long to get a tug on the fishing pole. Hello, 25.
Wow, are you saying I'm a cheap date or something? Anyway, I'm just kidding, Dennis. 25 checking in on the General Radio Telephone, MC5, from beautiful downtown Burbank, California. Over.
No, I think more I'm saying that you're a good catch. So maybe that's just the opposite of a cheap date, I think. Going to the Rolodex, and we are looking for the General Radio Telephone, one of their very popular radios, maybe their most popular, 1962, late 62, when it started being advertised, 1963, when people realized that the price was good and you got a decent radio. Let me punch up a picture, and here we go. Give us a transmission.
All righty, Dennis. Anyway, this has been a work in progress, but we finally got her on the air, and it's a beautiful radio, really clean radio. Actually have the mounting bracket for it if you want to put it in your Oldsmobile 442 or whatever. I mean, I don't think you could fit it, even though it's a smaller radio than the Sonars. I don't think you can fit it in today's cars. But anyway, it is AC/DC. I have the mounting bracket for it. I also have the SWR meter. Big SWR meter and watt meter for it. So, but it's all working, and it's got the little bitty side handles like it's supposed to be a rack mount. I'm sure you have probably the picture up. I'm not even sure what those little handles are for. I would never use them. But anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Well, it certainly gave it a utility look. And maybe the engineers at General Radio Telephone were into test year. I'm used to seeing a lot of things like that. Back at the radio station, in the warehouse when they have piles of junk. a lot of the piles of junk, and I'm not calling your radio piles of junk, but a lot of the test things would have handles like that because you would pick them up and carry them out into the field, and it was just, I don't know, an easier way to do something like that. Or you would be mounting something in a rack, and it was a lot easier to kind of, instead of trying to hold it from the bottom and the sides, which you couldn't do, you hold it from the front and sort of hoist it into the rack. But I guess since this, in theory, was a citizens band thing, and you could certainly have it in your car or maybe in your home, it was a little bit more utility than necessary. I don't know. And you look at the really fancy radios with the wood on the sides, but that's what they liked. They sold a lot of them. Let's see. Mitch, I see the post about the 8D with the full markings. I'll have to look that up. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll steal another shot of something if I can find it, but sometimes you have to be careful with copyright stuff. I don't know how that goes, but the fans, Jerry, the fans of the tone signal, otherwise known as the Q-Bird, are often lurking and watching our videos. So I want you to, what do they do? Like a safe cracker, I want you to polish up your fingertips to get ready to give us a Q-Bird tone on the MC5.
All righty, well, I'll start off with a transmission, Dennis. And then, so what you're saying is when the radio blows up, you grab those handles, you grab it and heave it, open field as far as you can. I get it. All righty, well, here it comes, the tone alert. There's the tone alert. I'm still talking, and now...
Oh, I'm going to have you do that again. I'm going to put up, let me find it. I'm going to put up the Orban loudness meter, and then what I want you to do, just like what you did, I want you to talk a little bit, and we'll get a setting on the Orban, and then I want you to, turn on the Q tone, the Q-Bird, but don't talk, and I want to see how it increases the modulation on the Orban. So go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to unkey while hitting the spring-loaded switch just below the S meter right now.
Oh, man, it was pushing it up to minus 14, so that is your probably 100% modulated area. You were at minus 16, 17, and the Q-Bird was just pushing it up towards minus 14. So that goes to show you that there's your 100% modulation point. Radio number 9, the General Radio Telephone MC5. If I call it the Super MC5, I was wrong. It was just the Master Control 5. From 1962-63, originally sold for just under $200. It was much like the MC4, but had a stronger transmitter, and it was the last general radio telephone with the Q-Bird tone signal, because the FCC said, we don't want you to do that anymore. And the standard microphone, I think, was made by... Electro Voice for that. It would go 6-volt DC. It was early enough to do that. 12-volt DC and 115-volt AC. And it would probably definitely, like Jerry said, fit under the dashboard of just about any 1962 car. Even though, I don't know about a Corvair. I bet it would still. We think of those as small cars back then, but that Corvair was a... It was a large mobile, too. So put it in any car you want. Thanks.
Dennis, I'm sure it would fit in any Thunderbird, T-Bird with the suicide doors or anything with a big, what do they call those things? Big little hump thing in the middle. Anyway, okay, thanks, Dennis. Back to you.
I'm just thinking what it might not have fit in, and we'll have to talk to Mr. B about this, if it would fit in a Nash Metropolitan. That might have been, you might have had to put it in that little back seat park bench thing they had. The Old Tube Radio Network. I think there was a breaking station. Someone said something, so I am listening. I'm putting on the headphoniums and listening. So the station that was breaking, try it again. Over.
37.
Hi, Chris. Hang on one. Who was the station out there that was calling for OTR? All right, nothing heard. 37. If you've got a radio, we'll make it number 10.
Oh, I
I should have waited one more time. Oh, well. That's just 37 here. I want to check in my general radio telephone, my Super MC11A, 24-channel version of this puppy. Now, we are running this here with the non-amplified stock microphone with the little old man on the wheelchair up there and the needle swinging to the right. And, well, I see I turn my way around to the right to be toward you. That's where it's at.
Sounding good. Well, we've got a couple of general radio telephones checking in tonight. So I think you are in good company. So we'll have, maybe we'll get a Siltronics. We've got Radio 10 as the 11. And then Radio 11 could be the 1011. The Siltronics. See, it's something like that. It's been a while since we've checked in any Siltronics radios. The audio, as usual, is superb and nice and loud, and I think since we are running the Orban loudness meter tonight at 9:48 on your next transmission, we'll give it a test, and we'll see where it runs the meter up. So let me pull up the Orban meter and back to you for transmission.
Okay, well, hopefully you got it up there. It's showing way up over here. I'm showing here, let's see, it's showing keying about 6, 7, swinging up almost 10, so it's doing it, and over here on the other side is going from 0 up to about 95%.
All right, well, the peaks look good. The loudness making it at minus 13, so at least on the loudness meter tonight, that one takes the prize so far at minus 13 with still decent audio. I imagine you could have really bad audio and get the thing up higher, but it is sounding good like it often and always does. The Super MC11A with its 9 tubes and the ever-popular ECLL 800. Back to you. Over.
Okay, well, I do thank you, Dennis. I'll get out of here then. At least I checked in one. I got one, I think, over here. Let me see. Yeah, I do have another one over there warming up. So when I get off this, I think I just run over there and jump on that one. Well, I won't jump on it. I might break it, but, I'll grab the microphone.
Yeah, don't break anything, because we're still planning to do this for another 35 years. And, they don't seem to be making too many CBers anymore. So we don't want to lose you or the radio. And, Dave, we used to get back in the day, and I would probably, if I had the paperwork here, say that the most heard radio some evenings could be the Siltronics 1011, 1011D, the Comanche, the 1011, there was a B. We have one of our collectors actually has the Swan 1011, which was the very first version before, I guess they got clobbered by the ham radio operators guys saying, wait a minute, how dare you take the Swan name and put it on that 11-meter band that the FCC stole from us. So I agree with you. It'd be great to hear some of the 1011s. So stay tuned to this station in 2020, and I bet we will definitely hear some. I don't think I'm listening. I don't think I've ever checked in a Tempo 1. Actually, I remember them back in the day when the 1011s and the 101s. This would be back in the early 70s, where the stations coming out, especially when sideband was happening and everybody needed to get a VFO on their radio to go up above 23. Remember some of the guys were running the Tempo, Tempo 1s or the Tempo 2020s? The only thing is they sounded horrible on AM, really hard. Like the Siltronics, it was really hard to get those dialed in to sound good on AM, but they could do it. And we have had a lot of good sounding 1011s on AM. OTR is standing by.
37. And 47.
All right, we've got Chris will be in Radio 11, and then I think I heard 47. I heard Mike, you'll be Radio 12. Was there another station that was wanting to check in? Over.
25.
And hello, Jerry, you will be Lucky Radio 13. So keep that in mind as you dine and dance over in the green room. Don't be late. They sometimes they turn down the monitor speaker in there so you can't hear what's going on. When you go in there, make sure they have the monitor speaker up so you can hear us when we give you a call for Radio 13. Over to Radio 11. Hello, Go Boy.
Okay, well, I don't have no 1011D, nothing like that, you know. But I do have a G PowerMate, a Jim Marine Products, 23-channel tuber that glows in the dark. And we're running this here with the amplified D104 Lollipop, and there is no banana split on it at all.
Well, I think you took care of the banana split earlier. This is the blue radio. The picture that we have doesn't really do justice to the blue, or as much as the blue. We can see the outline surround of the case. This would be another Panasonic chassis from like the T123 and the T-Berry Model T radios. It always has great audio. And they give us another transmission, and we'll take a look at the Orban on this one.
I don't think it's going to be quite as high as on the General, but actually I don't even know if near it. But anyway, this is it, and I hope it's working.
It is working great. Believe it or not, it is very close. It is very close. I would say the audio isn't as clean. The audio definitely isn't as clean as the General Radio Telephone, but the loudness is just about there. So that's part of the other thing. You can get loud, but can you get clarity? And I think all of the radios, including this one tonight, have proven that you can do both. Over.
Is that a little bit clearer? I'm not so close to the microphone.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And now it backs down a couple of notches on the loudness, but you get clarity. And so we don't really notice the difference. In fact, in general, we like it.
Good. And the General likes it, too.
Doing a good thing. Radio 11 from Gem Marine, the G PowerMate, doing a good job on the old tube radio network tonight. Thanks for bringing it by.
You bet you, Danson. Thank you very much for being out there. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here, and some of the other ones wouldn't either. So have a great day. I'm out and listening.
All right. Well, I'm one of the many net controllers that have been sitting in the air chair here at the old tube radio network for the past 35 years, and I do enjoy it. It's the Saturday night place to be. Speaking of which, Radio 12, and I think we're still in the 9 o'clock hour, at 9:55. Mike is back in the radio cabana, the radio lounge, with something connected to the antenna. Hello, 47, over.
Well, good evening. Reluctantly from the radio lounge. I did check in here at 8 o'clock, and then I had high hopes of taking the radio I'm on right now out on the road, and that just wasn't going to happen. So, well, it didn't work out. Something's not happy there, and maybe there's a question or two. But anyways, for your listening pleasure, I hope it's connected correctly, and everything does seem to be working here, I think. How about a Robin T123?
It is connected correctly. And it is quite loud. I think the Orban meter is going to like this one. Getting a shot out of the Rolodex of the Robin T123, the one with the magic eye tube, which I'm sure is winking and blinking and dancing quite nicely. Over.
Yeah, now that I have it running on AC power, everything is just jamming, man. This Magic Eye Tube is just great. I'm so tired right now, I don't even know if you just mentioned it. 6RE13, I believe it is. Yeah, it's working great, as is the illuminated S meter and I almost said frequency selector, but channel selector. It wasn't quite so working off of a Oh boy, I tried a couple different batteries. I tried an older motorcycle battery that was all charged up, and this radio just wouldn't even key up. And then I tried a car battery, and it worked a little bit better. Tried it with a car battery with the car on, and it was a little, at least I could key it up, but I had some obscene SWRs going on, so that just wasn't going to happen tonight.
All right, well, at least you gave it the old college try, and it did make it on the air tonight in the 115-volt form. I was just looking at the specs, and it does say 12-volt DC, Sam's CB35, page 95. Maybe they'll have some tips. But, yeah, if it was going to be current-starved or voltage-starved, it might have been doing some bad things. Even though it lights up, it might have been doing some bad things on the audio. And it's definitely not doing bad things on the audio here. I got you at minus 14 on the loudness meter, and the audio quality is good. So it's doing what it needs to do over.
Oh, good. Well, that's nice to hear. So I got to ask, and I know there's at least one or two other folks wanting to check in, so maybe I'll try and make this short. The only antenna I've ever really used outside has been my, whatever it is, 102, 103, or 8-inch, I don't even know, my really long steel whip antenna. And unfortunately, unless you're driving around like in the Bonneville salt flats with no shrubs or trees or whatever, bridges, unless you're doing that, I'm sure that long antenna would work out great there. I'm curious what mobile antenna other folks are using or used back when that mode of operation was a little more frequent. I mean, what a 3-foot antenna? I don't know. What's up with that?
Well, that will work as usual if you get the radio to like the antenna and says the match is good and the radio will play along. You can do the lawn chair. It's just the efficiency. And when in my readings, especially on the newer Facebook posts, when you get these mobile antenna questions, which you often do, it's typical that you will find the 102, 108, whatever it is, 102-inch steel whip right at the top of, it's a quarter wave, it's not loaded, nothing to burn out. Like anything, make sure the coax is good and things are grounded properly and you can't go wrong. And then you have pluses of, if you can mount it, like OBP did, if you can mount it on the top of your pickup truck, and then when you're driving down those streets in Fresno, and you'll just be sort of trimming the branches off the tree, and they will shoo you out of the gas stations as you break the fluorescent lights when you go in. But if you put it where it typically would go on the side of your vehicle, you might have a crazy pattern, but still you will have a good receive and a good transmit thing. So it's one of those things you just can't beat it for being efficient and working well, assuming you've done everything right. But it's the practical thing. Maybe it's just not practical and you have to go with something that's base loaded or center loaded or top loaded, and that way. The other thing is, a lot of people like to run more than the 5-watt DC input. So when you start getting antennas that have loading coils and matching segments, then you have to be careful that way as well. So I don't think you fall into that category. So, keep it simple. What can I say?
Yeah. Number one, I definitely don't fall into that other category. It's too bad. I would have loved to have tried with my long antenna, but I'll tell you what, it's at least for just a mag mount that only has one magnet. I understand that there's a couple of folks, I guess, manufacture mag mount antennas that actually have 3 discs or 3 magnets to really help keep that antenna stable on the back of your car, or on the top of your car. I only have, just the mag mount with one magnet on there, and I'll tell you what, even if you're standing still and you have that long antenna on that mag mount, boy, you're already biting your nails, and it's scary when you're driving down the road. Whenever things get knocked over, it tends to make a lot of noise. That's definitely guaranteed to rally your nerves. So, anyways, I guess that's making me feel good because the antenna I'm using right now isn't going to hit any trees, and I don't have to worry about getting a distracted driving ticket. So, life's good.
Life is good. One of our SWLs, Mitch, mentioned that one of his favorite mobile antennas back in the day was the Antenna Specialist's top-loaded trunk or lip mount. And I agree with two things. One, the top loading is not bad. If you're going to load something, top loading is always good. I have the for amateur radio was a Spider antenna, but it's like the ham sticks. It's a 4.5, 5 foot base. And then you load it with the top loading coils. All the loading coils are at the top. It's also not a mag mount. Mag mounts are, easy to use, but sometimes there's some grounding issues on how they mount because they're sticking to the painted surface. And so the grounding might not be good. So a trunk mount or a drip rail mount, something where you're getting metal and screws biting into the metal that can be bonded to the other metal, sometimes gives you a much better ground. So that's the plus on something that's not a mag mount, which I suppose is probably the least preferred, although it's easy to use. So those are the items. And Jerry, we are coming to you. We've got another radio standing by here. So until you start playing with something where you could be parked and have the antennas mounted and have 2 or 3 stations that don't move, that could give you reports on, let's try this antenna and that antenna, with the knowledge that depending on where your antenna is mounted, your vehicle could be creating a certain ground plane to make you directional. So it gets interesting. Is it K0BG, Kilowatt Zero Bravo Golf? There's somebody in the ham world that will tell you true about how to do mobile radio mounting. And when you really get into it and start reading the voluminous items and the proper way of doing things, it will make you cry because it's a heck of a lot more complicated than putting on a mobile mount. All right, back to you for transmission, then I want to pick up our next station.
Okay, yeah, it was kind of giving me a bunch of heartache trying to get this thing worked out this evening for the Robin. I know what you're saying about, and I'm sure a lot of other folks that are still listening right now, as a matter of fact, probably know the pain of trying to get some sort of antenna working on a mobile situation. After buying a rather expensive radio to mount on my motorcycle and doing all sorts of stuff on that front, I gave up. And the last time I did SAG activities for an event, I was using my HT. It's much easier that way. So, all right. Well, I'm not going to say I'm going to throw in the towel just quite yet, but from the non-mobile radio lounge, thanks for letting me check this Robin T123, and it's fun radio to use, even if it's not moving around right now, and everyone else sounds just wonderful on it. So, thanks, OTR. Appreciate it. 73.
All right, thanks for bringing us radio number 12. And Harvey is out working tonight, but he might be one of the stations from California listening in here at oldtuberadio.net. Still some of you hanging out with us here as we pass the 10 o'clock hour on the West Coast. We are still in Saturday. Some of you listening, I know, live or have jumped over into Sunday. All right, Jerry, thank you for being patient. I hope you are still there with your Lucky Radio 13 over.
Oh, boy, my Lucky Radio 13. I'm going to make this really quick. Let's see, 25 checking in on the Holocrafters Citizen
a little phone, CB3A, on a non-powered D104. Back to you, Dennis.
Stock audio always sounding good. I have been seeing of late in my internet wanderings just a lot of Hallicrafter photos of Hallicrafter receivers. Whether it's the SX28, the SX99, the 101, I've got a Super Defiant SX25. Just a great receiver. They also made transmitters as well, and I was glad, from what I know about Hallicrafters, that they decided that it was worth getting into and do 11 meters. Some of the amateur companies just said, well, no, why would we do that? But Hallicrafters did, and they did quite well. They produced some very solid, good sets like that one. Give us another transmission.
Well, okay, Dennis. The Hallicrafter CB3A little phone. And by the way, there were some options on this radio on the left side and the right side. Had some pop. I have the VFO on this one on the left side, and the meter on the right side, which is bouncing up and down. So that's a good thing, I guess. And on the lower left-hand side, the red on the air light is on. So everything seems to be working. And you're right, Dennis. Those things have got wonderful receive. Absolutely wonderful receive. Back to you.
They certainly know how to do receivers, that's for sure. Here's the picture, if you're looking at the video, or up on the other screen, of the CB3A with the optional S meter, and then off to the other side, the panel that could be removed for the optional receive VFO. From back to the for Michael there on the mobile antennas. Ray is using the little Tar Heel, and he's got 14 ground straps installed: hood, doors, cab, bed, etc. Even the exhaust is grounded to the frame. And that's what I was talking about with the W or the K0BG, when you start doing grounding and bonding to keep your ground going. And of course, the Tar Heel is a multi-frequency, multi-banded antenna that works with amateur radio stuff. But I suppose if it's tuning the radio and the radio sees, for some reason, 27 megs, the antenna would figure out where is the resonant spot and tune it up for you. But if you're going to run mobile a lot and you want to do it right, there is actually a lot of work to be done. Back to Radio 13 at hand. The Hallicrafters sounds great. You make my evening when I can put the little H, ALLICRAFTERS up in the radio box. Thanks, Jerry.
All righty, Dennis. Anyway, I know you have a very special FM 1000 made by Hallicrafters in your collection, and you used to actually demonstrate it back in the day. Of course, that was we've been doing this for 35 years. I don't think I've quite been 35 years, but maybe 30. Anyway, back to you, Dennis. Thanks for checking it in.
Yeah, the FM 1000, which is over on the bench there, that is the radio I got even before I had any CB radios. Well, I might have had a Sears walkie-talkie, but that was my first big purchase, AM/FM, and I did SWLing and DXing on the AM broadcast band back when everything wasn't syndicated and there was a lot of mom and pop stations, and stations would sign off in the evenings, and especially on Saturday and Sunday nights, the stations would sign off so the frequency would clear up. And you were certainly listening to everything out of state. I had a nice long wire. It had a little external antenna jack. And it got me in trouble in high school, falling asleep many a times, especially on those Sunday night, Monday mornings when stations would sign off, and all of a sudden the frequency that was normally busy, you would have a clear frequency way out to the Midwest, and you'd hear some station that you had never heard before. I hope to find I had a little logbook. Find my logbook, but that was some fun times. Thanks for bringing by Radio 13. Are there any other stations that would like to check in while I do some counting and amounting? You can think about it. Think about whether your radio is warmed up, and the jingle singers will do what they do best in the late hours here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
You're tuned to
OTR, Channel 11,
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
OTR standing by.
Go TR.
That break for OTR, go ahead, please.
Hey there, Dennis. 49 are back, and I see that it's 15 minutes after 10 o'clock, so I will do this quickly, hoping to quickly bring by my Browning Eagle R27S23 combo.
That's good. We have been light on the Browning Laboratories tonight. That is a good choice. The R27S23. So that is what would be known as the original, the first of the Eagle series. Over.
Yes, it would be. As you know, I've checked in this set many times here on OTR, and out of all my CB radios, and I own quite a few, it's probably still my favorite set to use. Actually, cosmetically, I think this is one of the best looking CB radio sets ever produced. Just my opinion, of course. I'm sure you guys will differ on that opinion, but yep, here it is. Just wanted to quickly bring it by. Again, love this set, and use it anytime I can.
Great, and nice audio, even with the signal that is at times approaching S9 on the Orban loudness meter. We're approaching a minus 14, which is sort of the way I've got it set up at top scale. Stations that have been hitting me with, or coming in with 5 and 10 over with good audio, clean audio, are ranging in that range. And at S8, you are just about there, and the audio is absolutely clean. So that is a good thing. Give us another transmission. It's Radio 14 from Browning Laboratories, 1964 somewhere to 1966 somewhere in the mid-$300 range, the Browning Eagle, either Series 1 and Series 2. There was two different versions of that R27S23. Give us another transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
All right, well, heck, just glad to still be able to bring it by, and glad she's still doing her thing after all these years. So thank you very much for the net, Dennis. Thank you for keeping this going for all these years. We really look forward to and appreciate this net every weekend. So thanks again. Have a great one.
All right, doing good. And speaking about appreciating nets, let me mention there are a couple going on. There, of course, this one on Saturday evenings for your old tube pleasure, on Wednesday nights for those of you who are amateur radio operators here in the Central Valley, and if we have conditions anywhere else, on 28.445 upper sideband, the Central Valley sideband net on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Of course, SWLs are always welcome there. On Friday evenings, for everyone on 36 lower, that's 27.365 on sideband, the Ditch Bank sideband SSB net on Fridays at 8, starting at 8 p.m. I'll remember what I'm supposed to say here, and that is on 36 lower. Let's see, did I leave anybody out? Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So lots of things going on here in the Central Valley, and my guess is where you may be listening, there are things happening as well. So it's good to know that Radio is alive and well. Counting and amounting here, OTR standing by.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR. You know, when we run late, that can be a good thing when you jump in the door and think, it's Saturday evening. Hello, radio.
SWL number 7 checking in.
And I can do that. I can go over to my SWL chart, flip on the big number 7, and give it the checked-in item of interest. Hello, radio.
Oh, I didn't do too bad. Lost a little bit during the poker game, but didn't lose everything, so still doing okay.
All right, you still drove home, or I should say you made it home and you weren't in a taxi, so that's a big plus.
Yeah, I don't tend to do that anymore.
Yeah. He still has his car keys, ladies and gentlemen, so that's been a good night.
Yeah, I'm always a designated driver.
Indeed. Well, I didn't know if the stakes get too high, if you have to throw the car keys in the pot as well. All right, thanks for checking in.
Thank you, OTR.
All right, any other stations wanting to check in before we wrap it up here at the Old Tube Radio Network tonight? And Mitch, is my noise floor usually 6? You know what? It is. What I do is I run. Are you looking at the meter? Let's see here. Let me put the S-meter cam up. Well, you know, I can't. I can't talk and do this at the same time. So let me unkey. And my all right, there's my actual noise floor right there. So it's anywhere from an S3 to an S5. And what I do, because the SWLs will drive crazy with that noise, I run the RF gain. I run the RF gain so that my audio output is about, on the stream is down about minus 24 dB, which typically takes me to an S6 or an S7. And in listening, I have found that backing off the RF gain doesn't affect the incoming signals that much, especially even the ones far out. This radio also has what I'll call a negative preamp, which I could turn on, and then my S-meter will go to 0. But I have found that it's almost a minus 20 dB, if you will. And that does affect some of the incoming signals. So what I do is I roll up the RF gain that affects the S-meter reading maximizes the receive as best I can and doesn't drive the SWLs nuts with the loud noise floor. So that is what you're seeing. But the noise floors are probably about 3 to 5. Also, I was getting noise from some LED porch lights that I had, and it took me a long time to figure that out, and I was somehow accidentally discovered that, so I leave those off. That will add another 2 dB of garbage from these LED lights, so I keep those off. So I'm interested if and when I ever get my antenna up in the air, if it will decrease the noise by being farther away from the man-made electrical stuff, or if it will increase things because I'm up in the air anyway. I digress. And, the computer doesn't seem to be as bad. There are some of these horrible, like in the audio gear, some of the really bad power supplies, the Walmart noisy power supplies, I've noticed when you turn something on, you will hear it. You will hear it in your receiver. I think I've eliminated all of those, but that was the thing that I found is the bad switching power supplies in some of the audio gear was also causing interference, believe it or not. All right, the Jingle Singers, what are they doing? Where are they? They're listening to my little spiel about audio things. Okay, here they go. This is the Old Tuber Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
This would be your current and final totals. Wow, look at that! Look at that great modulation on the horn section there. I know 47 will appreciate that. We had a total of 58 SWLs checking in tonight. 11 on page 1, 16 on page 2, 16 on page 3. Yeah, what he said, and 15 on page 4. It's been a long day. I got a lot done today, including checking in all the radios. 58. SWLs tonight. We are in, if you're playing the home game, this is week 2 of the 8-week roster. 14 radios total. Who was the most heard manufacturer? Could have been anybody. But it turned out to be by one. Three of them. General Radio Telephone. Started off with the Lafayette Comstat 25B. That was from Green Arrow. Then Jerry came by with the Sonar FS23. I guess he would have had the 3023, but said he had a problem with the audio. Would have loved to hear that one, but the FS23 serves nicely for the sonars. Radio number 3, Jeremy on the Lafayette Comstat 25A. We had 2 Lafayettes tonight. Radio 4 was Joe on the EF Johnson Messenger 223. He's got that dialed in really nice. That is just the perfect E.F. Johnson audio. That would be in the poster for the 223. Radio number 5, Paul on the General Radio Telephone MC7, putting the Orban up to almost full scale on that one. Good to hear an MC7. The Robin T123B. First of the Robins tonight from Joe is Radio 6. Jerry was on his Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. That was Radio 7. Falcon on the Hill. Paul on the Realistic TRC-8D. I will have to search the picture on eBay to get the front panel off of that one. Radio number 8. Radio number 9, the General Radio Telephone MC5 from Jerry. That was followed by the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A from Chris. Radio 11 was Chris on his Gem Marine Products G PowerMate, followed by Mike on the Robin T123. Nice sounding audio. Radio 13, Jerry on the Hallicrafters CB3A, the little phone, one of the little phone series. And then the R27 S23, the Browning Eagle, getting kudos on the audio up in the hill there from 00 49er on that one. Sounding good all the way around on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Thanks for those of you who are hanging out late with us tonight, listening in. And yeah, I don't think I have any CFLs, no fluorescent stuff. Dave, when they put in the LED street lights about 6 months ago, I pretty much thought I was going to be a goner because I have 4 of them very, very close. And I took 2 weeks waiting for dusk, waiting for the street lights to come on and monitoring, and I don't hear a thing. I don't detect anything from the street lights. So maybe I'm far enough away. And that's not to say they're not generating garbage, but I might be far enough away. And that's why when I raised my antenna, or if I raise my antenna, I will do that test again to see if I detect anything from the LED street lights. But I was really thinking that would be a bad thing, but it wasn't. What else? Anything I need to comment on? I don't think so. So let me get out of here. It is coming up on 10:30. Thanks to all those who participated tonight, whether you were just listening in or doing some transmitting. This is the Old Tube Radio Network. We do this every weekend on Saturdays, most weekends when we can. And we will try it again next week. 73, everybody. Thanks to Frodex for the Nixie tubes and everything else. And now they're still thinking about doing broadband over power line. Boy, that was a big thing in remember QST. They certainly didn't do it here. I don't even know if they tested it. They did do BPL. I remember some people saying that, but I never had that problem here, so it's hard to say. All right, good night, everybody. I need to jump out of the air chair and hang up the seersucker suit. So in the words of W2ONV, this is the Old Tube Radio Network signing out. Over.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks, Dennis, for the net. Really appreciate it.
'73's to Bozo Control.
Yeah, we made it through. We didn't get the gray line from Hawaii tonight. And apparently on the Friday night net, which I missed, we had some e-skip and ducting going on, and we didn't have that tonight. So you just never know. It could start in 5 minutes from now. Good night, everybody.
Hey, Dennis?
This is the basic Dennis, over.
Hey, you mentioned a spider antenna a while ago. I think I have yours.
If it has the 4 or 5 foot aluminum or stainless steel pole, and then you have the little mount at the top that has the multi-screws, and then those things, that shows you how long I've been in a mobile, if I don't even know that I have it or not. It looks like little thermometers, and they have little tuning Q things that are, the coils are gradiated, whatever that word is, with numbers so you can Q or move the Q coil up. And I used to have a 10-meter coil that I put a little screw in the top to changing the value so I could run 11 meters on it as well. 15-meter coil, 20-meter coil, a 40-meter coil. They used to make an 80-meter coil, which is this huge thing. You had to run it by itself. I actually drove down to the guys. He made him out of his garage. Drove down to his house in Southern California. This would have been probably 30 years ago, and picked it up. So that would be the spider antenna.
Oh yeah, that's definitely it. And number two, that's actually a pretty cool story. You driving down there to get it. Yeah, it kind of threw me for a loop. Spider antenna. You had described it as something that kind of looked like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree one time. So in my mind's eye, it's the Charlie Brown Christmas antenna. But yeah, that's over here, and I ought to get that back to you sometime.
Okay, yeah, you just never know when I might go mobile. I used that on the mobile mount was a bumper mount, like you would put a 102-inch steel whip. It had the quick disconnect, so it's probably still got the quick disconnect on the bottom. I don't think I took that off. And it was on my I kid you not, it was on my 1970 Buick Riviera, which I still have. And it worked okay. I remember, and I wonder if Dave is still listening. I used to use, again, I'm not kidding, I used to use an FT101. My FT101 that I mentioned that I used for OTR Net, that was one of my first, it wasn't my novice station, but one of my first ham rigs too. And I used to sit in the passenger seat and strap it in the Buick. And I had the RF meter set up the top. And I had a cruise control, one of those aftermarket cruise controls on the Riviera. And I didn't have any problems except on 15 meters. For some reason, the Spider antenna would get RF into the wiring, or whatever it was, the little the computer, or it was an aftermarket box. So when I was on 15 meters, the signal would get into the cruise control. So if I was running down 99, because I drove to LA a lot, and I was on 15 meters, and I'm cruising along at 59 miles per hour, which I did in the big Blargy, it got about 18 miles per gallon if you drove slow. And I'd on 15 meters, and you'd start talking, and the whole car would start lurching forward. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Am I going to be stuck on the side of a road in Bakersfield somewhere? And I realized it was only on 15 meters you could go, whoo, and then the car would just take off as it was putting more voltage or whatever it was doing, telling you to accelerate. So I had to make sure that if I wanted to run 15 meters, I would disengage the aftermarket cruise control and then try and do the right foot thing. Although really, if you're trying to talk HF, it's really nice having the cruise control going. But that worked quite well. The only problem is the FT101 was really hard to do if you were switching bands, because you had to preload and preset everything. It was a big pain. So typically I would get stuck on 20 or 40. 40 was great. 40 is just a great band for mobile during the day. You get that NVIS thing going on. So 40 was my band of choice. 20 was good if the band was okay, and you could hit Japan and the guys back east and things like that. But 40 was the standard. So anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going on and on and on. But that was how I used that Spider antenna on the 70 Riv with the FT101 sitting in the passenger seat.
Okay, so you're making me laugh on a couple different things. First of all, having to get a car, that you're driving around for a while, and then looking in the J.C. Whitney catalog for an aftermarket cruise control. That's phenomenal. I think I remember seeing those things, thinking, oh my God, that's kind of cool, man. I wish I had a car with cruise control. That's pretty cool. And number two, yeah, I think that's great. I've had, it's not happening right now, but I've had issues with our little touch on, touch off entertainment center lights and my radios. We've had, those issues. I think the issue of the car that speeds up, if indeed it was, consistently speeding up with, the more audio that you're putting in your radio, man, that just rocks, that definitely one-ups the Magic Eye tubes, telling you what you're doing. Boy, you could, that just opens up all sorts of jokes. Harvey, if you're listening right now, that'd be amazing. Boy, Harvey'd be like a 200-mile-an-hour Buick. That'd be phenomenal.
Well, I guess that's one way to accelerate. All right, I need to drop the stream and sign out of here. KUH, I missed the mighty Cage, Brian, who is either in the old side of the radio room or the new side, I don't know. 73s to you. And Ray, the Scorpion would be an upgrade. Is there truly a Scorpion antenna? If there is, it might be an upgrade. They don't make this. The Spider is not made anymore, I'm sure. And it was just this guy making it in his garage. And he advertised in QST. That's how I saw it. I thought that would be cool. And it works. I don't think it was the best antenna. I'm sure the new stuff they have, like the Tar Heel, like you've got, and the ATAS is where it tunes itself. It's probably probably a lot better because it's larger. But this had all the pluses. It was a large. I liked the mount. I liked the top loading, and I liked the fact that you could, without having motorized stuff, you could get 4 bands out of the thing, and you could tune the coils. So, like I said, I even had it set up for running 11 meters. Okay, thanks, Brian. High-end screwdriver called the Scorpion. Is that the one? Is that the Australia one? That's a different one. So, I will have to look into that. All right, I got to get out of here before I blow something up. Good night, everybody. The Old Tube Radio Network saying 73 until next time, and now we're all thinking about doing some mobile radio coming up. And Mike, I'll get to you someday. As long as you know the antenna is there, I'll pick it up someday.
Oh, yeah, no worries. All right, I can drop it off. Whatever you want, no worries.
And to answer somebody's question, yes, I still have the bumper mount, and yes, I still have the Buick, although it won't be going on any trips just yet. It needs some work, but it's still around here. You can tell. That's right. That's how you tell a loser. He still has every car he ever bought sitting in his garage somewhere. Good night, everybody.
Well, it's almost affordable to drive again.
That's true. It does not get double-digit gas mileage in the city, but if you put that cruise control at 59 going down 99, you will get 18 miles per gallon.
Wish my 455 would do that. Have a good one, Dennis.
Yeah, that's what the Riv has a 455 in it, and it will, you're trying to move, 2 tons, over 2 tons of metal off the line all the time. You are not going to get double-digit.
Yeah, but if you're getting 18, that's pretty darn good.
Again, that's a cruise control, and you're staying right at 60 or below. So that's you stay in the left lane and draft off the trucks. That probably helps, or stay in the right lane rather.
Well, that's cool. I've got an Oldsmobile 98 2-door hardtop I'm trying to work on right now. So that is a cool deal that you still have that. All right, good night, Dennis. Thanks again for the net.
Yeah, I think I'll have to take a picture next week. I think I still have my 1976 parking sticker from Fresno State back when it was, I think, $15 for the semester. And it sounds like the band might be opening. Good night, everybody. All right, this is Central California, so if it's opened up, you might be able to talk to some guys down here. Anyway, good night. Okay, and here comes the band. The band is opening up. I'm going to end the video stream. Good night, everybody, from beautiful upside downtown Fresno. And X4000. You know what? I don't know. I got a whole bunch of stuff I got to do. So I may make it back into the shack. I may not. We'll see what happens.